Charles. You have introduced the ALLLISS, and you say it isn't a god. The ALLLISS doesn't decide the outcome that takes place in creation. Can you provide an explanation of what the ALLLISS is? Because it's not a god, but at the same time, the way it is referred to would give this impression. Some new friends may take the ALLLISS as a god, perhaps a higher god. Duane responds, realistically, we are all raised by parents. We have a father and a mother. With religions, they use the father idea. Jesus would say how he went to the Father's house to prepare a place for you, as he used that father idea. Actually, if he said it, fine, but he probably didn't. The church probably put that in there again as a comfort zone. The parents are authority figures for the child, because the child just takes orders. We really stay like children in life, and we are thought of as sheep and children by the authoritarians. Those ideas have been constantly promoted. When you look at the sun shining as an example, from the intellectual point of view, it's a star amidst many stars in the sky. God is an authority. It's a defined authority, and so is the sun an authority. And don't forget, God is a jealous God. He gets angry and wants you to fear him, amongst other things. And if you're not good, you get a lightning bolt. Actually, in insurance policies, there's a disclaimer, and that it states specifically, and all insurance policies carry this, because the cabal elites wrote this, that they do not cover acts of God. In other words, when God creates the typhoons, tornadoes, earthquakes and floods, etc., the policies won't cover that, because that was God's doing. Now we look at the sun shining. We don't see authority there, and the sun is a great example of the isness life is. When you take the time to see the difference, because you need the comparison, all of a sudden you should start to wake up little by little, to start to understand and see what the isness is, and that it's more real than anything that has been decided, or any God that's looked to. All of a sudden you can see that it's all awareness. It's everything, and there are no authorities in life. This is where, from the personal mind, it would seem that the all-is just another idea for a God, because that's all they know. Most people want an authority. They feel safe with an authority. It's just like how children feel safe with their parents, and it's understandable. Most of what we learn, relate, and react to is from our parents, simply because we were raised, and for the most part, that's how life is. Even when people are adults, they still cling to their mothers. They don't see them as individuals, but someone that will take care of them, and who is the authority. People cling to this until the very last moment, and when the father or mother leaves, they just break down. When my mother and father left, it was fine. There was no emotion. I see them as being to being. They're on their own journey. They're making their own decisions. They were just people I knew while I was here. I'm not going to build upon that personality and then just create emotional attachments over nothing. We're all in the same life, and nobody disappears. Everybody is all here and now, and you can relate to them at any time. All they are doing is simply leaving the physical realm, but they're still here and now. This is why I go into such detail to describe things, to give viewpoints as a comparison. So you take whatever has been written about, known or said about the God idea, and you simply look to the sun shining as an example, and this gets you going to start to understand what the isness is. You can see then that there are no restrictions. With the God and authority ideas, the authority which keeps referring to God on the money, etc., it refers to restriction, that you're to bow, kneel down, and be thankful that you have a God. All these ideas surrounding it are to encumber and control you, and realistically, no one needs to control anybody. What's being presented here is that everything is for everyone. You can create and have whatever you want, but in this world here, people rely upon their restrictions and not the reality they are really looking for, even though they want this reality. Now you see the difference. You decide. Do you want to be like the sun shining? Do you want to relate to that? In other words, the sun is in the sky, but you are even better than that, because that's just a reference to the true reality. So you can't even imagine in any way, because the imagination is only in creation, what the true reality is. But you can learn to see it. The world is dependent upon its intellect, but realistically, it's only decided to do that, and you don't need to decide that, but it's still there. It's a book on the shelf. How do bees and ants know what they're doing? They just do what they do, and look what they produce. Awesome honey, when it's in its natural form, and even viruses and diseases don't live in it, and it lasts almost forever. These bees climbing upon each other, and doing what they're doing. Each bee knowing what to do, because that body is in direct contact with the real awareness. The real awareness is operating the bee. When we come eventually into the human form, we're able to make self-decisions, and this becomes our free will, which creates encumbrances. But at the same time, we need to go through this process so that we can see the difference between the two. The sun shining isn't an authority. It's not about worship. It's about seeing, and you decide to see and be what you decide. It's all up to you. Most of the world has decided to be worshippers, God lovers, etc. And they keep saying God is love. Football teams and armed services are praying to defeat the other team. They are praying to God, and does this make sense? To many people, this does make sense, however, and the idea is they are holding up their banner and proclaiming God is love, just like Harry is doing. Well, the God they are looking to is a reptilian, and they are just thinking that the God is love. When I look to the sun, I don't see it as love. I see it as real and awesome. It's an awesomeness that surpasses any of the personal love. This is where it gets into a real relationship. But the sun is like an agent. It's a representative and not the reality. But I'm glad it's there, and by that very fact you see the difference. God has specified itself accordingly, and it doesn't look good for those people that read the Bible and can see it for what it is and what has been specified. What I'm relating to and am constantly referring to are the ideas of no restrictions, and when you go to the God idea, it's nothing but restrictions.